Hello, race fans, and welcome back to ProKart Indoor Arena in wonderful Burnsville, Minnesota. I'm Adam Nordquist. Welcome back to Week 3 of Formula B. We're on the Suzuka track today, which will be super fun to race around. A lot of straightaways, a couple of curves in there, but a lot of real clean, real fast racing. Our stands, as they stand, number 1 with 66 points, Weeds up at the top. Number 2, Rod Bob, 5 points behind with 61. 57 is what Eric has. He's in third. He's -9 to the lead. My surprise pick for today would actually be Norm. We haven't seen him on the podium in a little bit, but he's a perennial appearance somewhere along there. And I'm sure we'll see him somewhere near the top today, putting up some really fast times. As always, let's have a good race day, race fans. We'll see you in race 1. So, welcome to race 1. Our races are getting set to go. Some clicking getting done over there. Again, that's 10, 2, 3, 16, 11, 5. Racers getting ready to go, lining up there. TV resets. Green flag is up. And again, that's that order as discussed earlier. We got Danny in the front, Marco, Norm, Eric, Rod Bob, Weeds. And again, I talked about the efficacy of Rod Bob today, but I've also talked about how good Norm is when he's not being bothered by everybody else in the track. This is a track with a lot of twists and turns in them. See, you can see that just getting real pushed around. That's Eric all the way back there in the blue helmet in the 16. And sometimes that happens. You got to be looking for that. You got to be careful, and now all he's got to do is make that all the way back. Up front, the 10 and the 2. Right where they have been the whole time. Followed closely by the 3. Again, a little bit of a sneak pick for today's wins. But they're going to be jostling for position pretty much all day. Putting up at the front here, going to look for a couple overtakes as far as we can tell. Again, that's the 2 and the 10. That's the 10 out in front currently. And really getting away with it for the most part. Current fastest lap time by anyone is a 22.1. Which is about, I think, the reasonable range for this track. We're going to be expecting something around there for a lot of these. But again, it looks like the 10 and the 2, they're just running away with it. The gap between each other is 0.6, 0.6 of a second. And there's Weeds right in the middle. There's that number 5 car. And then all the way at the back, it's not being shown on camera, but the 3, the 11, the 16, they're all fighting back there too. They're not too far apart either. The 4, 5, and 6 racers, we only have 6 guys today. 4, 5, and 6 racers are only separated by a second and a half. So the 3 and the 10, the 10, 2, and no. Hold on. What side of the track am I on? A little bit of an overtake there by Eric and some fantastic racing. So now it's the 16, the 3, and the 11 coming across the line at the back end. Norm, unfortunately, falling back in the links here. And so the front, right now, 10 to 5. That's Daniel, that's Marco, that's Weeds. Way up front. And again, looking for the lead there. And the gap between them and the back peloton is ridiculous. Norm falling all the way to the back. But the gap between 3rd and 4th place right now is a clean 8 seconds. It's almost half the track. But they'll come through here. We're going to look at the racer first. A little bit of a turn there, and we're going to have Weeds on the inside. Not going to make it. A little bit of defensive driving there by Marco in that 2. Front corners around the chicane. Looks like 10 might be getting away with it here with 5 laps to go after this one. Bit of a farther gap than anyone else here. A slight pass there on the outside, and that'll be Weeds taking second. With short notice, but got a lot of ground to catch in those last 5 laps. Going to be driving real aggressively around these turns. You're going to watch him do it, too. A little bit of a skirt kind of situation. Just trying to catch that 10. It's excellent, and he's running away with it. But not for long. That's a little bit of shorter ground there. A couple of turns. The gap between the 10 and the 5. Just about 2.1 seconds. Of course, that 2.1 seconds is not very easy to make up at a track that is 22 seconds long. Fastest lap from any of these individuals today is a 21.114 by none other than Weeds. And they're going to look for it here. 10 coming around on the far side. Norm going to watch out for it. He's going to block him a little bit accidentally on the turns there, which makes a great window. Going to make it happen. So less of a gap there for the 10 to come around. Norm and the 3 going to go around both of them. So the race is first between the 10 and the 5 with approximately 2 laps to go. And as we come to the final lap here, the white flag will go out, indicating 1. We've got quite a racer. First going to make an overtake on the inside. Not going to do it. That's a 10 and a 5 right there at the end. So, 10-5 to 11. 10-5 to, yeah, 10-5 to 11. There you go. And quite the gap between 1 and 4 there. Between first and fourth. Nearly 12 seconds. First and third, 1.7. So again, that's 10-5 to 11. Danny Weeds, Marco Rodbob. Fastest lap time from anyone today, a 21.083 by Eric. Nope, that was a 22. Never mind. A 29.093 by Weeds. The gap between first and second, 0.446. The gap between 1 and 3, 1.79. We will catch you in interviews in just one moment. Well, welcome back from a very eventful race 1, and something that we may think about is some of the top Peloton winners, some of the people that won that race, but I'd like to actually bring in someone who did not fare too well. Unfortunately, Eric spun out in the first or second lap. Was it first or second?
I think this is the second.
Close to the second. Unfortunately, knocked over by a fellow racer and just not able to bring it back. You did come back from a couple of positions. How do you come back in position in this next race? How do you avoid that kind of accident? How do you make yourself better?
I'm going to be honest here. This is a new track, and I'm still learning all the turns.
Yeah.
Right here is my biggest problem. I just don't know how to take it. So as to how to avoid it, I don't know.
You don't know? That's okay.
Yeah, like the second spun out, talked to the guy. We were just too close. We were both drifting. There was no way to stop it. So ultimately is learning the track, and I also got to get used to the weights because we had a pre-run before this with no weights. That's 40 pounds gone.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a massive change.
It's okay, and it makes it different on the turns. Well, I hope you do better next race. I will look forward to you in the commentary.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey man, better luck out there next time, brother. Hey,
What happened?
you're gonna.
With you?
I pushed John into your back. All right, that's on me, man. That's on me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Why is it me always getting spun out?
I don't know, man. You're just unlucky.
I guess.
Thank you for listening to that interview. Now, I have with me the first place winner of last race. This is our friend Crazy Monkey. Came across the finish line real hot on everybody else's tail, trying to do defensive driving all game. How hard is that, trying to keep it for 10 laps or so, keeping that lead, started in the front, stayed in the front? How do you do it?
Well, that race, I mean, it wasn't too bad. I had Kevin behind me, and he pretty much blocked the entire group behind me, so I didn't really have anything to worry about.
Well, very interesting. We'll look to see more of it in the next race here. Have fun.
Thank you.
Thank you. Race is already coming to the line. Yellow comes in the back. 10 all the way to the front. The green flag goes. Looking back to race 2. Hopefully this will be a more interesting race this time. Again, you'll see Norm out front, and Eric, unfortunately, just getting bumped one more time right off the bat. First turn there. Norm starting to the front because he finished last time. And the green flag is good to go. That's 2, 5, 3, 16, 11, 10. All the way back in the rack end. So, Norm out front. Eric out next. Those are your top 2 currently. Followed closely by Rod Bob Weeds. That's your Peloton back there. Again, our Crazy Monkey enthusiasts may appreciate. He's doing some really good racing back there, even though he is all the way at the back. But again, the front, this gap, Norm's got it, man. This is if he can keep this, if he can defensively drive the whole time. Now, it's been a long time, right? He hasn't done this in a long time. But that's Norm. That's Rod Bob coming up real hot. Rod Bob make a little pass there. So it's 2, 3, 5 out the way. 0.8 of a second separate those 2 racers at the front. That's the race for first. Coming across there, that's 1 pass on the inside there by Marco, I believe. And a little bit of a pass going on right there on the chicane. Now, focusing back in on these top 3, that's Norm. We're going to make a pass there. Rod Bob, going to look for it on the outside. Doesn't get it. Actually going to get pushed back a little bit. Eric holding on through the middle there. That's going to make a little bit of a retake. Now it's Norm, Eric, Rod Bob all the way at the front. A little bit of a bumping happening. A little bit of a sliding action happening. Now everybody's very close together here. Still Norm at the front. 2, 5, 3 out of the front. But it doesn't look like anybody's going anywhere anytime soon. This is what happens when nobody gets tripped up the whole game. If nobody runs into a corner, gets knocked into, gets crashed, something like that. And a gutsy move there by Eric, probably causing a yellow flag to happen out the back there. Maybe, maybe not. No yellows. No yellows needed. And that's a really gutsy move from Eric there. Gonna leave Marco all the way in the back, so it's now Eric, Norm, and Crazy Monkey right back at it. That's your top 3. This could be a series of really good races. They're gonna look for an overtake there in the second place. Eric kind of running away with it there, but looks like it's gonna be a race between Norm and Crazy there. Best lap of today coming from Weeds so far. Oh, no, Marco just topped it. 21.444. Immediately also one up, say 21.357 coming across the line. That's Eric way out front. Norm. Weeds. Crazy. So they do it, man. And again, some defensive driving coming in on the inside. Gonna look for a pass right there. Gonna have it. Or not. Getting rejected out on the side of the pass. Eric looking to run away with it here. With 5 laps to play. Gap between Eric and anybody else. Just about 1.9 seconds. That's just about 2, in case you were wondering. The gap between Norm and Weeds, 0.7. Again, some real close racing. Eric's going to have to pull this in, but I think he might have it there. If Crazy can pull it off, he's going to have a stack of points to deal with. Now, everybody up. A 21.117 bolstering the back. Another crash, unfortunately. That will cause a yellow. And look all the way out there. That's Weeds and Norm. Not going to be a real great time for those guys. Fortunately, looking back at the tires again, and that's going to cause a little bit of commotion on the back end as well. Now both those guys are lagged behind. So, final racers with one play. Eric, Crazy, Rod Bob. Coming out of the back there. Eric's going to hold on to it unless he can do something about it. Crazy going to look for a pass on the inside, maybe. Not on the inside. Can't do it right there. On the outside, no. Going to get shut down on the inside right here. Gas it, baby. And that is a close finish, 5:10. Eric, then Crazy, then Rod Bob. The fastest lap of this specific time and place belongs to Marco with a 21.117. The gap between first and second, 0.2 of a second. The gap between first and third, 0.8. That's 5:10, 3:11. Eric, Crazy, Rod Bob, Marco as Norm and Weeds cross the finish line. An unfortunate crash there. You never know what can happen. Welcome back to the studio after an exceptionally eventful race, too. Joining me live is first going to be our last place finisher. Weed's going to come across right here. The gap between first and you, 27 entire seconds, which was as fast as your lap time the last time you went. Now, you had a little bit of a collision in the back half. This means you're going to be starting up front for next race.
Yeah.
What do you do with that information?
Well, I'm worried because I spun Norm out, and he's starting right behind me.
And he's starting right behind you.
That's something you got to worry about these days, especially with his ability to attack and defend really well at this track. I mean, this track really suits him as it's a really defensive track. We saw that with him leading almost all of last race and being in second. When I went for second place. I really wanted to send. I probably should have settled for third, another podium for the season. You know, first time finishing outside of the podium this year, and it's honestly kind of disappointing. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing I can really do in that situation.
Yeah.
I was going for a gap. Gap existed.
Yeah, and that kind of thing always happens. Again, some great racing out there, and unfortunate that it had to happen there. Hey, speaking of looking for a gap, our first place finisher, Eric. Again, we talked about having a little bit of a gutsy move out there on the outside. Seemed to pay off for him, but obviously it caused some consequences down the back end. Now, knowing now that you would have been kind of in the middle of the pack, but now you're starting all the way at the back. How do you deal with that? What do you do?
You pray. You pray and you pray. And if an opportunity opens up, you take it. That's all you can do in last place, especially on a track like this, just like Weed said. And in this defensive track, you just pray and you see opportunity, you take it. Now, I will say, I regret that. I wouldn't be mad if I got black flagged, but I don't really regret it.
Yeah, and that's okay. Well, if we're talking about praying, then we better talk to God, because we got a third race coming up real soon here. We'll see you next time. And away we go with our first lap to happen, but this will be good racing, seeing if we can make it happen, seeing if we can get a couple of point differentials out of the back end. Now again, your order out front, 10-3. Oh my God, that's the third time today. We keep doing that. Now, the question, do they restart the race at that point? Gotta tell them to stop crashing. Tell them to stop crashing. Giving them a 1. I don't know what that means. Really? Couple of 40-second lap times for people interested. Some close racing there. Obviously, maybe a little too close. Caused an accident. Gonna let it happen. Obviously, this is a little bit of a slowdown, but once you hit the line, you're good. I think they're gonna take a little bit of a penalty lap here. Something like that. Again, there's a 20-lap race, so it's not like it makes a whole lot of difference. Oh, but it looks like they're just gonna line up again. Do some more lining up. Go straight again. Try not to bump into each other. And I'll count when they go across the line. Kind of interesting, actually. You got to bless the corner a little bit. That's what that guy in the hat's doing. Well, they're all in hats. The green flag goes. That's 10, 2, 3, 11, 16, 5. There we go. All the way across. We're at 3 laps. This is a 17-lap race. Going to come across there. The average lap time is not going to go too hot, but we're going to do some good old racing. We're largely in the same order that we began in. Now, again, that's not sliding across the corner, and I think that's what's causing all the accidents, is because when you turn sideways, you're more likely to be run into. Now, I am not a professional, and you shouldn't quote me on that, but I think that it's because the cars are sideways that there are accidents happening. As we approach the normal 15 to go, a little bit of topsy-turvy drifting going around the back corner in that chicane there. Going to come across the side. It's going to be Marco and Weeds fighting for 5th there, 4th. And all the way out front, the 10 and the 2, Crazy and Rod Bob right back at it again. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Rod Bob actually took home a race today. He's a good racer. Like, he has good lines. He plays defensively. He races offensively, and he puts the foot on the gas. Now, a lot of unfortunate things have happened today that make it kind of impossible to think that that could be the case, but you never really know. But all the way out front, the race for first is the 10 and the 2. Again, that's Crazy and Rod Bob all the way out front there. The best lap time so far as we head into the 8th lap of this race. Currently sitting at a 21.416. That's a Marco fastest lap. And again, all the way out front, there's a little bit of a try for a Rod Bob overtake. Both entering the lap here. The gap between them not too much at all, really. Going to be looking at this outside edge. But the gap there, really, it's only 4/10. Now that's going to change right there. Now with some offensive driving there from Rod Bob down the way. But, I mean, they're having a good old time there. It's a fantastic race for first. Now, if we cut back to the peloton in the middle, they're playing some hard-to-get action. They're all within about 0.7 of a second of each other. And they're having a good old time doing it. That's Eric Weeds and Marco right around the way at the front. And back at the action at the front. Still, that 10, that 2, going to be a little sliding. And again, that peloton around the back, just in the same order. That's 3, 16, 11. Fastest lap time still that 4:16 belonging to Marco. And that's just, I mean, it's just phenomenal driving happening back there. That's Eric fending off Weeds, and he can do it. Like, he is a defensive driver first and foremost, I believe. And the offensive side of him likes to win races just by fending off the people behind him. Now, there's that 10 and that 2. They are in a league of their own right now. It is almost ridiculous how far away they are from everybody else. The gap between 1 and 2 is 0.7 of a second. The gap between 2 and 3 is 5 seconds. An entire 5 seconds, again, on a track that takes about 22 seconds to get around. That's a quarter of a lap. I know you didn't want to do the math, so I did it for you. That's what it's all about. I'm here to help. Now, unfortunately, Norm, in a league of his own, if there was an award for fastest lap time, he could get it here. just because he's kind of racing to race. He's having a good old time. That race at the front there, a little bit of dramatic driving. Rod Bob going to try and overtake on the outside, not going to make it happen. And that's that Peloton crossing the line again. We're starting on 5 laps to go. We're still looking at this race. Again, that's crazy trying to hold off the haters there. Looks like it's going to work. Or at least, not if Rod Bob has anything to say about it. Going to try another pass on the outside. Not going to make it happen. Going to make it look here. No, crossing the inside, and that's not going to happen for him. Taking a look at this race for third, the peloton of 16, 3, and 11. That's, again, Weeds back up front. So we might be taking home third in this race. That's Weeds, Eric, and Marco all the way back there. That's 1.2 seconds separate them, but that gap is absolutely widening. 2 laps to play for the race in first. Again, that's holding off by only a half a second there. Norm's not going to let him lap him. He's not going to like that one at all. One lap to go for the 10 and the 2. Norm coming in on 2 left. And that might do it. Such a wide gap there means nothing's actually going to happen there. Crazy holding on to the winners there. Looks like he's going to put a couple points in his belt today. Rod Bob coming in second. Going to try another pass on the outside. One more time to go. Going to gas it to the finish, and that's 10-2. A long way to go until the third place. 10-2. 16 is your trifecta. The exacta 10-2, 16-3. That's crazy. Rod, Weeds, Eric, all the way back at the end. The distance from 1 to 2, half a second. The distance from 1 to 3, 6.7. The distance from 1 to 4, 11.05. The fastest lap time today, a 21.043 by none other than Rod Bob himself. And a fantastic win out of the back for Crazy Monkey. Going to follow him around the track right here. Looks like he's having a little bit of fun with it. And again, that's obviously a great feeling to have, winning a couple of races today. He's had a great time. He's putting some wins in his belt. We'll look forward to seeing him next season. Or not next season, next race. We have a lot of fun watching him go. That said, again, from the ProKart Indoor Arena in Burnsville, Minnesota, my name's Adam Nordquist. Our camera crew is Adam Lundeen and Henry Speaker. Our editing team is Nick Wiederholt and occasionally some friends. We will see you all next time as we take on Formula B.